check you and let him know that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I talked to a young kid who's standing there.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It is 6 p.m., January 22nd, 2025. It is time to call the City Council meeting to order, but before we do that, I want to, just like I did in the Board of Works meeting, remind everybody that we have started live streaming YouTube a long time ago for the City Council and Board of Works, but all of our other meetings are just now starting to go online. We just want to make people aware of that. And also, I've gotten emails and text messages that it doesn't get picked up if we don't talk into the mic. So everybody, please remember to talk into the mic when it's your time to speak. So with that being said, Ms. Jones, will you do roll call, please?
Mr. Austin,
Present.
Mr. Shuck,
Here.
Ms. McGinnis,
Here.
Ms. Nally, Ms. Price,
Here.
Mr. Prime,
Here.
Mr. Taylor.
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Brian Reese, prayer and pledge, please.
All right, invite you to join me. Our Father, we come before you this evening, and we thank you for the privilege of being here in City Hall. Thank you for the opportunity just to be out on this night and to see the business of our city move forward. I thank you for this week and just the peaceful transition of power in our nation. Pray you'll bless our nation, bless our state as well, as they go through that as well. Be with our city. I pray that you be with the meeting tonight, that all the items on the agenda, I pray that you give the City Council wisdom to make good, equitable decisions as they consider the matters at hand. Thank you for the work they do. Bless this evening, we pray. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I invite you to stand, face the flag, and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated.
Thank you, Brian. Okay, is there any announcements or public comment that does not relate to the agenda? Hearing none, we will move on to the
Move.
consent agenda.
Move to approve the meeting minutes of January 6th City Council meeting as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that gets us to old business.
Move to read old business by title only.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to read by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number one, approval of ordinance 2024-12, amending general provisions, billing, sewers, and connections, and rates and charges related to the sewer service system. With Joanna Tennell, this was introduced December the 2nd. It was tabled December the 16th to January 22nd, which is today, and we have not had a public hearing, so after Ms. Tennell's done, we will do the public hearing. Thank you.
Good evening. So since the introduction, we have had a number of meetings internally to look at the ordinance the way it was and to look at the concerns that were brought before us. So the ordinance that's being proposed now does include a couple of additional definitions in order for clarification. That includes a metered user as a new residential user that applies to any new construction in the new subdivision. So from a new house going ground up, that would be the new residential user. Then you have a metered user with a 6-month average water meter. A new residential user will be converted to the metered user with 6-month average at the time that the average can be taken from the October to the March date. And then they would be charged according to those rates. We added the definition of 6-month average meter reading to make that clear. And then there's also the unmetered user, which is a sanitary sewer customer who does not receive water from a public water source. So included in this revision, there is under section 7, which is page 3, broke out class 2 user. A class 2 is a single-family residential class. Class 1 is commercial structures, institutional, and whatnot. So this is the area that was updated and divided into the metered users with 6-month average, the metered user with new residential, and then the unmetered users. So the metered user, new residential user, that calculation is still based off of an average water usage of 6,300 gallons. This is the amount of water that has been used to regulate what an unmetered user has been charged, looking back through all the ordinances. So the reason the difference had went from $39.78 from the previous ordinance to the new one of being $78.76 is due to the monthly base rate going from $5.57 to $11.03, and then also the usage rate going from $5.43 to $10.75. So it's just a mathematical calculation of using that 6,300 gallons that we've been using for years. Upon the concerns that were brought before you from a number of the unmetered users with the concern of the 6,300 gallons, did look at the average use of similar properties, because mainly the unmetered users are in the Paris Estates area. So Fairway Lakes is kind of a similar neighborhood with the same demographics. And looking at the average use of that area, it came up to around 5,000 gallons. So with this update, we are proposing to change the unmetered users for Class 2 structures, that the new residential user rate will stay at the $78.76, and for the unmetered users that are not new residential would be $64.78 per month. In addition, the language about the flow meter is still provided as an option. Should anybody believe that their usage is substantially less than the 5,000, they can go through the process of getting a flow meter approved by the city. Having that installed, we did make a clarification that the location of that flow meter would be where the water supply line enters the structure at its immediate entrance point on the interior of the structure. Any questions?
Joanna, do you remember how many households, off the top of my head, I can't remember, is it 165, 160?
It's 134 in Paris Estates and 10 other unmetered users throughout the city.
Yeah.
So 144 total.
Okay.
Thank you.
Which we've defined differently than the new residential construction.
Yes.
Previously,
Yes.
the new residential
together.
users were classified as unmetered. However, technically, they were metered.
Yeah.
Which is why we've now broken it into those two separate categories. It makes more sense.
But the unmetered still have the option to do one or the other.
Correct.
Or both,
Yeah, sure.
right.
Do it at 5,000
At the
until-
beginning, they
yeah.
can
Yeah.
choose to, at a reduced rate, what we're offering is a reduced rate. That's $13.70-something cents,
Savings.
Ms. Tennell, less per month on their monthly bill?
Yeah,
Is it
Roughly.
$13.73 or something like that?
around $14.
Yeah.
Close to $14.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also, they can choose to put a meter in if they choose, even paying less, but then get a meter. And then if we find, or they find, or we find that they're using less gallonage, then they pay even a reduced amount,
Right,
further
but-
reduced amount.
But if they use more,
Yeah, right.
Right.
It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Right,
Correct.
I understand.
Sure, but
Yeah.
but the choice is there, the option is
yep,
there.
the
Right.
option is theirs.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, at this time, we will open it up for a public hearing. So do we have anyone that want to make some comments on, how are you, Georgiana? You have to go up
Georgiana, you go
here.
to the mic and please introduce yourself for purposes of recording.
I know how to do that.
I know you do. You sat next to me last night doing the same
Yes, I
thing.
did. I'm Georgiana Haltom, and I reside at 1815 Hillside Drive in Paris Estates. And first of all, I want to thank you all for being willing to take this big project in hand, and that you've also taken the time to decrease the amount that you're going to have it at 5 instead of 3,000. I'm one person, and Sterling always said, "Kiss it." So I'm going to try to kiss this. That is that I use about 3,000 gallons per year, or per month on my usage. And if there would be a consideration that the council would be willing to purchase the meter. You have all the meters in the city that no one's ever paid for a meter in the city. We would like to not have to pay for our meter. We would pay for it being installed. Number one, it would make the city's life much, much easier because it would all be alike, it would be universal, and they wouldn't have a lot of questions coming up about what the meter read and was the meter correct. That's my biggest thought, is that it would be more fair under the Constitution that we would have it.
So Georgiana, I understand what you're saying. However, we don't own the water meters in town. It's Indiana American Water. And you can get a hold of Indiana American Water, and they'd love to put a water line out at Paris Estates. And then you can get a meter, and it'd be all taken care of, and you'd have better fire service. However, we can't buy the meters, and
They're not our,
Not our
we've never
meters.
purchased meters.
So, Mayor, it is not negotiable.
that one is not. I'm sorry. I mean,
Okay.
Even,
I feel like
honestly,
we
we don't
did-
have that ability. We don't even own
Right.
them. We don't buy them. The water company is a separate, not a city utility, as you know.
Well, I don't want to pay $101 a month for my water usage for my well. And
what I'm looking at here, it's going to be $64.78 for the sewer is what it's going to be. It was $78.76, and we're going to drop it down. It's $13.98 difference from going from 5,000 to 6,300 gallons. So we have met on this, we've talked on this, and this is what we feel is fair. For an example, I know you're one person. We can't go to everybody's house and say, well, one person is there, three people's here,
I know.
four's. My wife and I just happened to look at mine because I wanted to know. We use 4,100 gallons, my wife and I. Sean, I think you said, what'd you say you used?
I'm at 56.
He's at 5,600. So we got together and we looked, like Joanna said, we went through a bunch of different homes of trying to average where it would be. And this was the best average that we can come up with. So I know it's a change. We got a $35 million sewer plant that we're getting ready to build. That was the last time it was, anything done was in the 90s. And it's not because we're at capacity, it's because it's falling apart. It's so old. That's the big part. So
And I know that we need a new sewer system. I do not argue with you at all. I'm just trying to see if there's a fair way of decreasing the cost of the labor of approximately $500, and the meter is going to be approximately $500 to $800 for me to do those two things, for me to have a meter, so that my bill is not going to, it's going to be more in line with what I'm really using.
And with that being said, what you said there about what you're paying, when we all, as citizens, sometime that whenever our house went on the water line, say when the house was built, somebody paid that initial hookup fee for my house. It wasn't me, it was there when I got there, but somebody is paying that initial hookup fee. So that would be your initial hookup fee to your own well, I guess.
To my own well.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, from a resale standpoint, looking at the big picture, I'm sure when I sell the house that somebody would be more willing to pay the $64.78 than they would the $101 per month that if I don't have a meter. But I just am trying to see if there's some way that it could be more fair for a one-person residence, and it looks like that this is it.
Well, and I apologize for that because we're trying to do the very best we can to make it even for anybody, equal for everybody. And we did talk about households, but we can't track that. That's
Right.
like how many people's in your household. We just can't track that. So I think what we come up with, I as mayor feel pretty comfortable with it being that way, the way that with the 5,000 gallons, which knocked off, like I said, $13.98. So
What about the, because I've called about the meter myself, but how are you going to handle this? Because if there's 100 of us that need a meter and we all get a different meter, how's it going to work? Are you going to buy meters and we buy from you? Or
No, we are not going to, and I'm sorry, Georgiana, if it was mentioned when Joanna talked about it, we will have if your plumber or whoever you're having install brings in whichever kind you choose, if it meets the qualifications that allows our water or our sewer department to be able to read them remotely, whatever one you choose is acceptable. And you get an okay from us, then you install it.
Okay.
Yeah. But again, we have somewhat limitations because we are not a water utility. As you know, that is
I
an
know.
independent water utility done by an Indiana American Water, not us.
Well, you say someday that they may want to even put the water line in at a cost that the city would do as part of the bill, or we would have to be responsible for all of it.
The water lines are put in by the water company. Sewer lines are put in by us because it's sewer. We own the utility.
And they're usually put in, nowadays, what happened at Paris Estates, that wouldn't happen today. Because if you're going to put in a new subdivision inside city limits, you have to have water.
Water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that,
Wouldn't happen today.
Well, I love my home and I am not leaving.
I'm glad you're not, because you're on our plan commission board,
I sure am.
and I appreciate what you do there, so thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
you.
Is there anybody else? Okay, hearing none, we will close public hearing. Any more questions for Joanna? If not, I think we're ready for some sort of action.
Move to approve ordinance 2024-12.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you.
Okay, hearing none, we'll go to item number 2, approval of ordinance 24-11, repealing ordinance 15-10, the employee handbook. Clerk Treasurer Jan Jones.
I'll start. I know Lynn's gonna talk. I don't know if you want me, obviously this was introduced before with a public hearing. There are a few changes from the last meeting that we would just need to approve as amended. So do you want me to read those or just say?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and read those? Because there, if you recall, the clerk treasurer brought forward some amendments that I don't think anybody had any objections to, and there was one additional amendment that's really a typographical. So if you want to go through those.
Yeah, Josh had brought to our attention before, and it just had not been taken out, and he caught it, the limited duty status, page 21 under sick leave benefits, so that was taken out as it should have been.
Because we have no limited duty.
Right.
It's not defined in there.
So that was a clerical error. It was worded weird. It was brought to our attention for longevity pay. So that wording was changed to match just what it has always been. None of that's changed. It was just worded different. I believe the police caught that, and so we changed that. That's page 31. It's still, the prior, or after January 1st, 2003 hires. So nothing changed. It was just worded weird, so we just made it more clear. Page 39, about overtime and compensatory time. We had originally said if this were starting in January that we would have the 2 banks, and we can't do that now with Kronos since we're almost to the end of January. And then finally, there was clarification needed for police, just about the working 168 to 171. It was weird on what would be paid, and so it's their TCR, their total compensation time, and then over 171 is that time and a half. So again, just a few changes that would be amended with the approval, or are amended and with the approval.
And recommended, and that's what's been circulated, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, and,
Yes.
and I just want to go back, and I left this part out. It was introduced December the 2nd, public hearing was December the 16th. It was tabled from the 16th to tonight, the 22nd. And I just want to go back to something that's no different. It was read the same. I get an email late this afternoon from a news source that wanted to say, why are we taking away comp time or vacation time, nothing's getting taken away. And I just want to clarify one more time here. 2017, when I become mayor, was making $51,000 an hour, or $51,000 a year. 2025, we're making $72,000 a year. That's a 41.18% increase since 17. If you average that out, it's 5.15% a year. With the salary at $72,000 plus the insurance, $22,914. The value that we pay to our public safety people, $94,914 a year is what that's worth. The fire budget in 2017 was $3,962. 2025, it's $5,883. It's 48.49% increase. And just to bring that a little clearer, $1,921 increase to the budget. Public safety overall, we have a general fund budget, $22,382. Public safety, $15,424. That's 68.9%, 91%, 68.91% goes to public safety. I think it's very important. Public safety is where it needs to be. That's our number one responsibility up here. And I'm glad that we're at that 69% goes to public safety, but I just want it clear, we are not neglecting our public safety people, and I feel like we're getting pointed out like we're neglecting public safety. We're not. We're enhancing our public safety. We have bought fire trucks. We got 2 new fire trucks since 17. We got a new ladder truck that should be here anytime, new battalion, new utility trucks, new squad trucks, 3 new administrative vehicles, a new MERV, new radios. We update our equipment every time a chief comes to us needing their equipment updated. We work on that. We just did a $2.5 million remodel of Fire Station 21, and I'll say it again, I apologize it took so long to get that done, but we'd like to have done that a long time ago, but we're happy we did that. And we also added 3 firefighters this year to the budget, and we hadn't had any new firefighters for quite some time. So I just want to make it publicly known that we appreciate our firefighters, we appreciate our public safety people. We are not taking nothing away from nobody, and that's where we're at. So I just don't want the wrong message getting out to our citizens that we're letting our firefighters go downhill. That is absolutely not the facts. So I think I just read the facts, and that's all I got to say. So thank you.
I think that at this point, let me give the overview again for those members of the public who perhaps weren't here, as I was directed to do by your council. If you will recall, beginning in January of 2024, the steering committee was consisting of the clerk treasurer, the mayor's chief of staff, the human resources director, and myself met with the city's employee consultant for the purposes of reviewing the city's handbook to determine what the items needed to be updated, what things needed to be changed, what things needed to be looked at, and that is what is the 80 pages plus that you guys have reviewed for a couple of months now. As you are fully aware, and as the mayor has just described, the city employees receive benefits beyond the pay that they receive, which firefighters now salary is $72,000. Those benefits include, and are not limited to, they're actually outlined on pages 17 and 18 of the employee handbook. Those benefits include health insurance, sick time, comp time, vacation pay, short-term disability, which the city pays for, the employee does not, long-term disability, and pensions, of course, that are operated through PERF. One of the things that was called to the attention of the employee committee was that the city's fire department were allowed to roll over up to 600 hours of benefits each year, which is different from our other department of our public safety branch, which is our police department, who only roll over 144 benefits. That is comprised of the 72 benefits hours that they get each year, plus 72 that they can roll over for 144. The proposal that was brought forth to you was to treat the fire department in the same manner that we treat the police department, by allowing them to take 72 hours and roll over, and then each year they will get 72 additional hours as the police department does. That is different, of course, than the civilian department, which do not have those same amount of hours rolled over to them. After the public hearing in this matter, in which we had information from the fire department, your direction to me was to go and find out some additional factual information, and some numbers, I think, was one of the things that you wanted to know specifically with regard to rolling over that time. The numbers, and these are effective as of January 13th, 2025. The liability accrued by the city is $666,052.95. That is what the city owes to all employees across the city for accrued comp and benefit time. Of that $666,052.95, $567,111.16 is owed to the fire department. That is 85% of that liability which is owed. The remaining amounts are owed either to our police officers or to our civilians who have rolled over their comp time. Why has that become an issue according to our financial planners, and why is that something that we've asked for you to take a look at? Because as that comp time is, I'm sorry, not the comp time, as the sick time is rolled over, when it is accrued, it's rolled over, but when it is paid is when an employee either separates from employment, retires, or utilizes at that time. So for basic 2020 time earned is paid out at 2025 amounts, which means that the hourly rate in 2020, when it is accrued, the city actually is obligated to pay in 2025. That's why the large liability the city owes. With that, the proposal in the manual, in the proposed amendments, is that at the end of calendar year 2025, every firefighter who has benefits that have accumulated in excess of the 72, which would be rolled over with another 72 given, will be paid in full, all benefits which they have earned. Again, paid in full what they get. I have reviewed the clerk treasurer's office, and the average payment to be made to the firefighters is $11,573.70, with the highest one being $31,136.40, and the lowest being $1,887.17. So to be clear, at the conclusion of 2025, those benefits will be paid to our firefighters. Then, with the next year, they will, if they desire, may roll over 72 hours, and then they will be given another 72 hours for a total of 144 available each year thereafter if they elect to roll over up to the 72. That will mirror what we have with regard to our other public safety division, which is our police department. One of the things that was also requested of you was information regarding our short-term disability. Our short-term disability is paid for by the city and is available citywide to all of our employees, including public safety, but also our civilian employees. Our short-term disability goes into effect, according to the manual and according to the policy, after 7 days. The reason it's 7 days, most employees are either going to, if they're civilian, they're working Monday through Friday, so the 7-day accounts for the public safety if their days are off. But after essentially 1 week, the city's short-term disability kicks in and pays 75% of an employee's salary for 26 weeks. So if you do simple math, and obviously the numbers are going to be a little different at the end of the year because we don't know who's going to use how much of their benefits. But essentially, if you use simple math, at $72,000, 26 weeks is half of that year, which means their pay is $36,000 typically earned during that 26 weeks. I'm sorry, during that during that half of the year. 75% of that amount would be $27,000. So if they normally at full pay make $36,000, the short-term disability will pay $27,000. They have available the payouts that we are making, which average about 11.5, plus each year another 144 if they wish to roll those over to make up that difference, which would be the difference being approximately $9,000. The idea is that by giving the employees access to their money now, they control that money. Because we have some firefighters or some persons that will have basically a bank, if you will, of 3.5 times what would be necessary to cover that difference in short-term disability. And others will need to accrue that as time goes on because they haven't been here for that long period of time. Why is that relevant to the city? Was a question that was asked of me in terms of, because it is an unfunded liability that must be reported. So right now, we owe approximately $670,000 of unfunded liabilities. I reached out to our financial planner, who indicated to me that if you have that large amount of an unfunded liability, it must be reported anytime we go forward with any bonding issues, anytime we apply for any types of credits or anything, it must be disclosed because of that size. The extent, if any, it would impact any of our rates is not known because the question is always the materiality. So it may be depending upon how much we are requesting, whether it would be. As an aside, in speaking with Mr. Peters, and I asked him to give me this information, he said that is why numerous of other municipalities that he is aware of have stopped allowing the large accruals because of the unfunded liability nature of it and the fact that you are each year paying a premium for those amounts of money. But that was his comment. He could not tell us the exact amount, if any, it would have. It would be something that would be required to be reported. As one of the other comments, I think that was given to me as a direction of the last public hearing, there was a question regarding a donation bank. If you did have a catastrophic illness for any of our employees, the possibility of a donation bank. While certainly our police officers and our firefighters have some unique features to their job, that injuries to them may not impact the same type of person who's in a civilian position because of the unique nature. Clearly, a catastrophic illness of a cancer would affect any of our employees, whether they're civilians or whether they're public safety, and any of those could not work. So with the clerk treasurer's assistance, we ask for the development from our professional services person that we've, HR, they've done hundreds of these across the state for other municipalities. If they could create a policy regarding a donation bank, and they are in the process of putting one together for us to review. The recommendation is to consider that at the end of this year after you decide what you wish to do, purely for accounting purposes, to make sure that we start with a clean slate. The idea would be that employees could donate time that they did not take with them if they want to, again, voluntary, to the bank. There would be a board reviewing the bank, and if someone needed it, they could apply to the bank, and then the review would occur if someone wanted to donate their time. But that would be citywide for all employees. I also thank you to Councilman Shuck, who was willing to meet with me, because I think one of the questions that, as I understood it from working with him, was the question of how often do we have short-term disability, and what would the amounts of the monies paid to our individual employees to allow them to control their money, how would that differ between what we are paying to them? And so he will address that. But I did, again, thank you to the clerk treasurer's office, ask for some information about how often do employees go on short-term disability. The clerk treasurer did a research of the last 9 years. There have been 63 employees citywide who have utilized the short-term disability, 63 citywide. Of those, the average time is 4.3 weeks that they are on short-term disability. Rarely do they get to the 26 weeks where you worry about needing that $9,000. The fire department in that last 9 years has had 3 employees longer than 4 months. and that was the information. I believe Mr. Shuck then can talk about the investment value of the payments that we are proposing to make, as well as to additional information that he received regarding employees being on short-term disability.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. We've spent a lot of time, I have spent a lot of time on this topic, meeting with many different individuals concerning this. With my background, it was something that I felt like I could really assist in reviewing this stuff. So after reviewing as much information as possible from multiple sources, I thought it prudent to share my findings with all of you. I was able to obtain short-term disability claim information for the past 29 months. Insurance companies, and most of you know I'm in the insurance business, use the last 2 years of history to quote new business. So I believe this time frame will give us a good snapshot of what has happened in the past and what will continue in the future. I believe this is to be even more evident from the research that the Clerk Treasurer's Office did when they completed for a longer period covering 9 years. Principal Life Insurance Company is the administrator of our short-term disability. As you know, the city self-insures the short-term disability insurance, but there is an administrator on the back end, which is a Principal Life Insurance Company. The claims history for that 29-month period, 25 is the total number of claims that were filed between October 22nd and December of 2024. One claim during the period in 2022, that short period of time, 11 claims in 2023, and 13 claims in 2024. Only one claim exceeded 14 weeks, and I use that 14 weeks as a reference number only because of trying to get to the 100% pay. That's what keeps coming back to me as far as how can we get to the 100% pay. Now, that doesn't take into consideration that first week that you're off without a pay, because that's your deductible. We all know what the word deductible means, but short-term disability calls it 8 days, okay? So that's your deductible. Disability is not meant to put you at 100% because there's no incentive for you to come back to work. Now, the city of Franklin does not have any trouble with people coming back to work because the claims have been excellent. The numbers that we're seeing for the last 9 years are very, very good. So that means people don't want to stay off work. They want to come back to work. So I get that and appreciate, the way you guys want to attack your job. So, and there were 2 claims still pending. So I don't know if you were keeping up with the numbers, but there were 2 more still pending in December for the short term. Hopefully this gives you a feel for the type of impact that short-term disability has on our city. I've also included a spreadsheet, and I have that here for anyone who wants to take a look at it. How the money to be paid out, because we're going to pay the money out at the end of the year, right? So what do you do with that? Well, so far what you've been doing is the city's been paying you an interest rate of basically 5% on your money. The city has been acting as a bank. So now we're going to give you that opportunity to go put the money in your own bank so that we don't have that funding liability, okay? So I used the payout, I used the lowest payout, the average payout, and the highest payout to compare the current situation. And the spreadsheet that I have shows that if the lowest payout, $1,887, if you went to a local bank or a financial advisor here locally, your money at the end of 5 years at 4% would equal $2,296 in your bank, your own bank account. If the city kept doing what they're doing, you'd have $2,408. So basically about $100 difference. We're not talking about earth-shattering figures here, okay? But we are if you go longer. So if you take the same amount, that $1,800, and you go, let's say you put it in something that's got a bigger interest rate of 8%, and let's say you go 10 years, now you've got over $4,000 in that account. So to me, we're actually doing you a favor by having you put the money in your own investments. I don't care where you go put it at, but you're going to come out ahead in the end, okay? And I've got written proof to show you that. At 5% versus whatever interest rate you want to get. I went to the local banks, they're paying 4% right now on CDs. So there's a difference of 1%. If you go somewhere else and put it into an account, and you all know what they are, that are available. You can earn higher rates of return than that, and you can self-fund your own disability and still have money left over, okay? And that's all I have.
Thank you, Todd. That was good information.
Combination of short-term and long-term.
Yeah.
Hey, anybody else with any comments? We did, like we've said several times, the public hearing was December 16th. I think we've all we've all read the emails and all that. So any more questions up here?
No, just one other thing I would point out and obviously this is board comment time, as the mayor said, public hearing has been conducted and closed. But this is an ordinance change being asked of you with regard to the salary ordinance. You are a 7-member board. You have 6 members here tonight. So in order to pass the ordinance, you would need 4 of the, in other words, you need a majority of the entire membership, not just the majority of the quorum. In this case, it's the same, but just always to be aware of that. When you have an ordinance, you have to have a majority of the entire membership to vote for or against.
Todd, I want to thank you for all the, the dedication and the commitment you've proven to the fire department and the employees that we have that, doing due diligence, because I know there's been multiple people at the city, including everyone sitting up here, that spent many, many hours on this and trying to come up with a good proposal for the fire department and for the city's employees. So thank you, Todd.
Yes, absolutely. My pleasure.
Okay, again, if there's no comments or questions, I think we're ready for action to be taken.
Make a motion to approve.
As amended per the recitations of the clerk treasurer?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Jan, would you do roll call on this, please?
Ms. Price,
Yes.
Mr. Shuck,
Yes.
Mr. Taylor,
Yes.
Mr. Austin,
Aye.
Ms. McGinnis,
Yes.
Mr. Prime.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Motion carries. Ordinance approved. Thank you. Okay, next item, item number 3, approval of budgetary ordinance 24-22, amending the budgetary ordinance 24-20, salary ordinance, clerk treasurer Jan Jones. I believe, Jan, this was on the agenda to reflect the handbook changes that was just made.
So the changes, the budgetary ordinance that was passed has all of the benefits for employees. So obviously with the changes in the handbook, there were a couple changes that needed to be done on the budgetary ordinance. We also needed to add the wastewater assistant superintendent salary in there exempt, so that was a change. We had to change the business travel expenses, if you remember, because we changed those from $35 to $80, and we went from 15% to 20% tip, so that obviously is noted in the budgetary ordinance as well, and then the sick leave benefits. So all of that will just need to be approved as amended.
Okay, and just real quick, when you say exempt, I want to explain what exempt is, just everybody may not know. Exempt employee is a salary employee that doesn't get paid overtime, but he or she answers to the mayor's office as like part of the department leadership. That's what an exempt employee is, just so everybody's aware of that, so.
And I would just like to note, if this looks a little different than what you're all used to, another thing our consultant advised, and I think it's an excellent idea because it's so fully transparent if someone pulls up the ordinance, is that we put all benefits in there, not just salary. Jan, appreciate, you've done so much work. This is a much bigger.
They approved this,
Yeah.
the original, so.
Yeah, but it's really more fully complete than we've ever had the benefit of having, so that if anybody wants to look, they can see exactly what someone gets paid, including benefits.
And this item here was introduced December the 2nd. It was tabled December the 16th to January 22nd tonight, so we have not had the public hearing yet.
Correct.
So at this time, we'll go ahead and open it up for public hearing. So any questions on the budgetary ordinance? Hearing none, we will close the hearing.
I move to approve ordinance 24-22.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, thank you. We will go on to new business.
Move to read new business by title only.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item number one, introduction of ordinance 2025-01, rezoning to be known as the Franklin Community School Corporation Earlywood rezoning.
Good evening. Before you is a request to rezone the property located at 500 Earlywood Drive. This is the location where the Earlywood Educational Services Facility has been operating for over 50 years. The Franklin School Corporation did acquire this property, and their proposal is to demolish the existing structure and then replace it with a new facility for a preschool. The reason that this is going through with a rezoning is that area is currently zoned industrial general. The operation of the Earlywood Educational Facility has been a legal nonconforming use, which means at the time that it was built and constructed, it was consistent with the zoning district at that time. But since then, the city has rezoned the property to something that is not consistent with the use itself. With the school wanting to demolish the structure, the legal nonconforming status then is voided, and therefore the property would need to come into compliance with the industrial general zoning district and uses. As you have seen previously, we've had a number of requests of properties adjacent to the area, one of them being immediately to the west, which has been rezoned from industrial general to mixed-use community center. We've also had a number of properties north of this area rezoned from industrial uses to commercial zoning districts also. So we have seen a trend that the development of the city on the east side of US 31 is not consistent with the industrial and is more consistent with commercial. So therefore, in order for the school to be able to do what they're wanting to do, the request is to rezone the property from industrial general to institutional. This was heard at the December 17th Plan Commission meeting, and with a favorable recommendation, it's been forwarded unanimously by that board. This was being introduced this evening, and then the public hearing will be February 3rd. At that time, the school will have a representative here in order to give a presentation. They do have a representative here this evening. John Young is representing them. However, they are planning on providing that presentation at the public hearing.
Thank you for introduction.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thanks, Joanna.
Okay, that gets us to the next item, which we can take action on this item. Request approval of encumbrances carried over to 2025 Clerk Treasurer Jan Jones.
Yes, the encumbrances are listed. Tara's going to put them up there. I'm sure you've seen. And then moving them so we can spend them this year, and they would just need to be appropriated. Mayor, if you want to go into more detail.
Yeah, I just think the biggest one on there is right, I can't really see it from here, and I didn't pull it up. It's right about $2 million, 2.46. Yeah, that is our active adult center that we encumbered the funds that was appropriated by the city council last year. So that's what that big encumbrance is there. And the rest of them are just regular projects that the departments had that we either had a contract or we had a bill for and just didn't get it paid just yet. So that's what we're encumbrance. And we are ready for action. Is there any questions anybody need to know?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. We'll go on to the next item. Request to declare stale dated checks canceled. Clerk Treasurer Jan Jones.
Sure, all checks outstanding and unpaid for a period of 2 years as of December 31st of each year will be declared canceled. And so we have a list there that totals for the general account about $8,500, and then for the sewer utility $211. So just that grand total of $8,745.84.
Jana, who didn't cash a $5,100 check?
I know, that's what I was looking at.
I was thinking too, yeah.
Does that come back to the city, or does it go to unclaimed property?
It comes back to the city.
Okay.
And it goes into the general fund,
Goes
correct?
into the general fund, that's correct. And then you can see where that's split in the general fund. If you scroll down just a little bit, it's listed there at the bottom.
Okay, and as I said, we can take action on this one tonight.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to the next item. This one's introduction. Budgetary Ordinance 25-01, authorizing the additional appropriation for the non-tax supported funds. I'm asked, what is non-tax supported funds? When you have people that would donate to the fire department or the police department or the parks department, or somebody that's just adding money to the city for certain projects. That is what basically most of this is. Grants that come in, and then the departments can spend the funds that's, when we approve this, that allows the departments to be able to use the money where it's allotted to. So that one is introduction. Next item, introduction tonight of Budgetary Ordinance 25-02, additional appropriation into the Board of Works. Did I skip one? No, that's it. Introduction into the Board of Works, cemetery, and the fire capital line items. So what I've done, I think it's there. Yes, that is a copy of the funds that did not get spent out of the 2024 budget. And I know when people look at this, like, why is there $1.5 million? Well, you can look, for an example, Board of Works. Some of that is infrastructure that we did not have a contract for, but we're in the process of getting contracts for. The fire department, the $287,000. That's where they were funded with firemen that did not get fulfilled, or they had some fire, they were down some firemen. The police, the same thing. It's mainly payroll. Law, Lynn didn't do much last year.
I'm going to get kicked out of the Lawyers Club when I give back $65,000.
Yeah, so, but anyway, that's why some of these funds wasn't spended, and I think to clarify where it says the going into Board of Works, or that is to put $1 million back into Board of Works 400 series like we've done in the past. And if you look down at the bottom, I have the next sheet that I have, I think that's up there, Tara, maybe it's not, but I've given it to the city council here, of just showing the history from 2017, and I'd say this every time I go back to 2017, that's when I become the mayor, but it tells what we've done last year, what we're doing this year, and it shows the pattern that we set. One year we put in the general fund, back in the Board of Works, the 700,000, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, this year's 1, so this is not anything new. It goes to help pay for all the infrastructure that we're trying to do in 2025. So that one is introduced. Any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. I don't think I said the whole part of it. It's $100,000 to go into the cemetery. I know that we've been putting $50,000 in to redo the headstones and try to get our cemetery where it needs to be. And I will tell you, I'm getting a lot of compliments from the public, thanking the city council and my office for doing that. But the cemetery also has some roads that need to be sealed, a couple roads need to be paved. And if there's any money left from that, we can use that to continue on the headstone project that's going to take several years. And then the $100,000 into the fire capital line, because we're getting our new fire truck here in just, should be this month, February. We should be getting our new fire truck. We also have $950,000 appropriated in the CCD fund. I'm not sure that that's going to be enough to cover the whole cost. And then we need to have some funds to the fire department to make sure that truck is fully equipped. So that's why I'm asking to put $100,000 into that. So that is introduced on what we're trying to do with the funds that we didn't use last year. I think that leaves about $94,000 just to stay into the general fund. And then finally, but not least, on other business, the 2024 completed projects and the 2025 anticipated projects. That list, I think, Tara, it's on there, I believe, if you can pull that up. Oh, okay. Anyway, we did a lot of good stuff in 2024, paid cash. We don't owe anybody any money that's been, that we can't pay for. The ones with the stars there is what we completed. There's an estimated cost, and when we estimate that cost, it changes during the time that you want to do the projects to the time that you actually get to do the project. Then we have the final cost over there in the other column, and then some comments just to go along with it. But I feel really good about being transparent to the public and get out, this is what we've done, and then the next page in 2025, that's what we're going to work on for 2025. And then we have, on down, we have future projects, and then we'll stop there where it says future projects. If you notice that the future projects is going to take some collaboration with the county or the state to get those done. And one reason that, that we've got to this point, we've had a lot of projects inside the city limits for the last 10, 12 years that we have really been working on and bringing our infrastructure up to last another 50 years. And I think we can see that we're getting to where the major projects in the city limits is done. And now we're going out to like Earlywood improvements and the Earlywood Hurricane Roundabout. We're going to have to collaborate, and that's a very dangerous spot right there, that we're going to have to collaborate with the county and the city to cost share on that. But just projects like that, we're starting to get out now that it's either it won't happen or we're going to have to share cost with the county and state to do things. The Earlywood interchange, that's probably not going to happen for many years, but I just feel like that needs to stay in the forefront, because I can tell you right now, you go to Whiteland, try to get off that interchange, it's really congested. And I can see the Franklin interchange, if we ever got our improvements out on the east side, that where you go out there at certain rush hour times now, and we're starting to see backups on our interchange at rush hour. So at some point, somebody's going to have to take a look at how are we going to fix that. So that's why I just want to keep that on the forefront, not saying that, hey, we're going to put that interchange in, but we got to remember that's going to be needed someday. So anyway, any questions on the projects? You're probably all tired of hearing me talk, ready to go home.
Never.
I've drank 4 cups of coffee, and I think I even had a chocolate bar, didn't I, Tara? Yeah. Okay, so with that being said, any questions on that?
I have any.
We'll start down at this end with Josh.
Nothing tonight, sir.
Ann,
Nope, thank you.
Ken?
Said it to Board of Works, I'll say it again, I appreciate the street department, the collaboration with the street department and the parks department and everyone, and Brett's team getting the roads cleared and the ice taken care of. So they've been a marvelous job. I appreciate their work.
Sean?
Just want to thank everybody for all the work they put into getting these things to us, Todd and Jan and Land and Steve. None of these decisions were made lightly that we made tonight. So I want you, we all behind the scenes have met and talked and texted, and we're trying to do the best we can for the city. There's nothing personal with anyone there. So, but thank you for all the work you guys have done.
Todd?
Thank you. I didn't want to mention during that presentation earlier, and I didn't get to go through the whole presentation in the essence of time, but I wanted to let you know that for the city employees, there are local banks and financial advisors that you can go to and ask for advice, and they won't charge you a dime for their advice to put that money where they need to put it to make it work for them, okay? So I just want to make sure I pointed that out to everyone here as well, so, okay? Thank you.
Jennifer?
Yep. Appreciate all city employees, fire, police, but all other city employees. Then I'll echo what Sean and Todd had to say, so.
Thank you. Marnie and Willa, do you guys want to tag team this?
Sure.
Let me just say, you all know that's here, I know we got somebody that's in the crowd here, I think from a TV station, I seen you with a thing. This is our Mayor's Youth Council. We take our youth in Franklin very serious, and we appreciate their input, and we want them at our city council meetings, so go ahead,
Yeah.
Marnie, she's the president.
Yeah, hi, my name's Marnie Moore. I'm the president of FMYLC, and I'm joined here by Willa.
Yeah, I'm Willa Thomas.
So did you learn anything tonight?
Yeah, I did. I learned that you guys spent a lot of time and effort to distribute our money properly.
And it is part of
Even-
your money, by the way, so.
Yeah. Well, from our council, just have a few updates. A couple weeks ago, we had a delegation come from Kuji, Japan. So when they visited our high school, we hosted them and gave them a tour. So that was really fun experience. And this semester, our lights at the pickleball court at Youngs Creek, they're going to be installed. So that's exciting. We hope for those to be installed by May or in May. And other than that, we hope to pursue some small projects this semester. That's all I have so far. Yeah.
Willa, you have anything to add?
I think she covered all of it.
All right, thank you. Jan,
No, thank you to everybody though.
Tara?
Nothing further, sir.
And I have nothing to say. I think we're ready for a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.